Welcome everyone to day 2 of the All Things Shoulders series. We're going to get started right with that belly position as we always do.
All right, so the block buddy will be flat on the floor directly over top of your belly button. And the block will be horizontal to your mat. Take your time as you get into this position. And then you can start up on your elbows.
And to begin, let's focus on the inhalation phase of the breath. The block becomes the prop to teach us where the breath should come from, even feeling as though the body is lifting up off the block with each full inhalation. And if possible, let's breathe in and out through the nose. And your breath is your guide. As long as you're breathing, you are feeding and healing your tissue. If something hurts so much that it takes that relaxed breath away, that's your body letting you know that we need to back off and do whatever position less intensely. And on a bed is a great option for that. Now, just as Quinn is, you can be up on your elbows. You can also bring your chest flat to the floor if that feels right for you. And just take note of the sensations you feel. You may feel a pulse, that's the aorta. Pressure and pain are normal. Let's now shift your attention to that exhalation phase of the breath. We never want to force the breath. We always want to work the breath in its complete range, but in a relaxed way. So with this exhalation, allow your body weight and gravity to do the work as the block sinks deeply into the core. And just at that very end range of that exhalation, that's where we can add a little bit more action. You want to squeeze the belly small to wring out the tissue of the waist so we can release it fully through that exhalation. And anytime you can, after exhaling fully, see if you can take a few moments before engaging that inhalation and just notice how you feel in that space of stillness. And with each breath, let's see if you can expand that inhalation a little further and go even a little bit deeper with that exhale. Three more full breaths here. And when you're ready, place your hands under your shoulders and exhale up off of the block.
All right.
Perfect. So for our isometric beginning, we're going to do similar to yesterday, but more on the clavicle position. So just below the collarbones, the block will be this way on the knees.
All right.
Okay, this way.
So block will be on its tall side, horizontal to the mat, just below the collarbones here. And then same as yesterday, let's not have the feet or the knees too far away from the block. If you need them closer, that is safer than having them further away. And then slowly approach the block just like this.
And once in position and once you feel nice and stable, let's just begin by taking the arms out to the side, keeping the fingertips first on the floor. And for some of you, that may be as far as you go. With the arms extended straight. And if you can, then let's bring those arms up and extend them away from the body, and we want to keep them in line with the shoulders. So most people are probably going to draw them more towards the feet. So keeping them right in line with your shoulders. We'll just be here for a total of 5 full breaths. And we want to work to lift those hands as high toward the ceiling as possible without affecting the alignment of the arms. Two more breaths. And when you're ready, exhale up. Okay.
All right.
So now we're going to do a really good shoulder one. We're wanting to access the anterior deltoid. So we're going to be on our belly and the block is going to be on the high side. So Quinn is going to demonstrate what we're going to do with the hand to get into that position.
All right, so let's just start off by laying flat on the floor. The block will be on its tall side like this. And if you know the pec position, that's on the inside of the deltoid. We want this right on the front of the deltoid, right on the front of the shoulder joint. So let's hook the left shoulder onto the block. And as you do this, rotate your palm so that your thumb is facing the floor. And that's really going to target the anterior deltoid.
And then once you're in that position, see if you can drop your rib cage toward the floor. So you're really getting a sense of that lever happening. We're pushing that shoulder joint up toward the ceiling as that rib cage comes toward the floor. And then once you feel nice and stable there, then we can draw that arm away from the body, pulling the fingertips as far away as you can. And from here, you can start playing with moving that thumb and palm up toward the ceiling, just slowly moving and searching for those adhesions, which is where the pain is. You can even take that right hand to the right side of the mat and just put a little pressure in if you need to get a little more leverage to get right on top of that position. How's that feeling, Quinn?
Very good.
Good. And let's use the floor here as well to continue focusing on that proper diaphragmatic breath. Breathe the belly into the floor. And with that full exhale, feel as though it's lifting up off the floor, even imagining the belly button making contact with the front of the spine. We're right on top of that brachial plexus, so you may feel some buzzing or some numbness in the hand. That's totally normal. Search for those adhesions, which is where the pain is. Pain equals restriction to blood and oxygen flow. So we use our pain as our guide, how to become the most open and free. Pain becomes our friend. We'll spend one more minute here. Let's bring the mind into this equation as well. As you inhale, with your thoughts, direct that blood flow right to where the pain is. And imagine those cells absorbing that oxygen, becoming fuller and lighter. And then with that full exhalation, imagine black smoke leaving the nose as all of the toxins, the negative emotion are released. Take 3 more full exhalations here. And when you're ready, place your hands under your shoulders and exhale up. And just give that left arm a shake. How'd that feel?
Good. Painful.
Good. So now we're going to do the lateral delt. So we're going to show you first the beginner version and then the advanced version.
So it's pretty well going to look like this from a different point of view here. And the beginner version is just going to have the block flat. More advanced is going to have the block on its side. So as you approach the block in this position, we want to focus on pulling the elbow behind you slightly to really help realign the shoulder, the arm. So as you approach this, keep the arm close to the body, tuck it slightly behind you, and then approach the block like this so we are on the deltoid, we're not on the upper arm. And then you can check back in and make sure the elbow's tucked behind you slightly. So this is the beginner. Advanced, you're simply just flipping the block to its side and then approaching this the same.
Once you settle into whichever version you're doing, connect back to that full exhalation. You can even use that top hand, put it on the belly, make sure that breath is coming from the right place. That is the real magic behind this work. If we're breathing through those muscles of the upper chest, we're not taking full advantage of the heating mechanism that the diaphragmatic breath allows. So for some people, simply being here without movement will be more than enough sensation. But if you want to up it, we want to nudge the deltoid muscle from the humerus bone. So you can very slowly lean forward as you draw that arm back, and you can connect your breath to this. So you can lean forward and go through a nice full exhale, and then after that you can come up, you can roll back and just take that arm slightly in front of you, just so that we're getting a nice slow rocking motion as we continue to nudge that tissue from the bone. Your neck is also in a bit of a vulnerable position here, so you can certainly use pillows. If you're doing this in bed, prop them up. If your neck is starting to fatigue, you can look down toward the floor. You can also use that top hand to assist your head. Also connecting the tongue muscle, that helps to create more strength in the neck. Another action you can do to up the intensity of this is you can push the elbow toward the floor isometrically and hold for a few breaths. We'll spend 1 more minute here. And we'll take 3 more full slow exhalations. And when you're ready, use your top hand to assist you as you exhale up. Did you find any pain in there?
Oh, there's a lot of pain in there.
I found some significant pain in there as well.
Whew.
Perfect.
Little tingling.
Yeah. Now we're going to do those same 2 positions on that right side.
All right, so we're going to start with the front of the deltoid, so the one where we're laying flat on our front here. And then let's flip the block to its tall end, and then we're having it right on the front part of the shoulder. And as you approach this, it's easier to rotate the thumb so it's facing the floor to really target this area. And then once you've settled in, you can drop the left part of your rib cage to the floor, and then you can start to explore.
Once you feel nice and stable, connect to that full breath. Use the floor to breathe into. You can even use that left hand to push in and give yourself a little bit more leverage if you need. And then really play around with turning the thumb from the floor up to the ceiling. You can draw it back down toward the toes, and just nice and slow movements as you explore those adhesions. And when you get on top of something really juicy, you want to stay there for a minimum of 3 full breaths to really dive into that space so that you can unlock a new area. This one position in particular is really helpful if you have any any neck tension. That anterior delt, as we internally rotate and we collapse in, it gets stuck and sealed into this area through here, the underarm. So by releasing this position, we're allowing that shoulder to come back, which is going to take a lot of stress off of the back of the neck and upper back as well. 1 more minute here. Tap back into the power of that breath. Let's slow it down a little more. And breathe to the fullest capacity, but in a relaxed way. If you can hear yourself breathing, you are likely using too much force for your breath. Three more full exhalations. And when you're ready, you can place your hands under your shoulders and exhale up.
All right. So now we'll get right into the lateral part of the deltoid. So you'll be on your side, and then the beginner one is having the block flat. And remember, we're tucking the elbow slightly behind us to help realign the arm. So this is the beginner version. Keep the arm tucked close to the body, and then approach the deltoid, not the upper arm, or not the upper arm there, and then tuck the elbow behind you. For those who want to make this more advanced, let's flip it to its side and approach this the same way. Ooh, this side's more painful.
Once you connect in, let's make sure we've got that breath working for us. And if you want to increase this intensity, you can slightly lean forward as you draw the elbow a little bit behind the body, connect that to the exhale, and then you can slowly roll a little bit more to the back, drawing the elbow just in front of the body as you inhale. And you can go through a nice series of nudging this muscle from the bone. A lot of people end up with what's called supraspinatus tendinitis. The supraspinatus tendon travels right over the shoulder and lands down here in the arm. So when we are rounded, that tendon isn't tracking properly through its groove and it gets inflamed. And over time it can become thick and create a real chronic issue for people. This is going to help Move that tendon back into proper alignment. Another version of what we can do here is you can also move the elbow toward the floor and isometrically hold for a few breaths. And Quinn's getting a little creative here, lifting the pelvis up to apply more pressure. That's the fun part about block. You really want to explore in your own body what works for you. There's only 2 rules. Your breath is your guide, and we want to stay in each position a minimum of 3 minutes to really engage that melting. So have fun with this. If you can find a different way to access a specific area for you, again, there's no rules. We'll spend 1 more minute here. And 3 more full, slow exhalations. And when you're ready, use your top hand to assist you as you exhale up. How'd you do?
I think I did pretty good.
Yeah. Okay, so this next one, Quinn, I'm just going to have you turn around so I can show people where we want to have the block positioned. So we're going to have it, this is the mid-back position. So we're going to have the block positioned higher up, right between the shoulder blades. And this is where we want to have a pillow for your head. So put that pillow in position first, and then place the block just below the pillow, and then just take your time leaning back so that you can get right into that space.
And then once you come down to the floor, you can make those adjustments like this to really find that area. This is one of my newer favorite positions I've been doing to really release the grips from the shoulder blade. And that, to me, helped pull the shoulder blades back and down.
So we're going to be spending about 6 minutes here because we're going to be focusing on each side individually. So let's start with the left side. Once you feel nice and stable, what we're going to do is we're just going to put a little bit of pressure into that right foot. So you just roll slightly over to the left side. And then you can take that left arm out to the side, and you can play with movement here. You can bring that arm up toward the head. You can even bring it up toward the ceiling. Ultimately, we're working that inside aspect of that shoulder blade. And even into that rotator cuff area. So we're addressing the rhomboids, which is the muscles between the spine and the shoulder blade, as well as that rotator cuff and all of the stuff inside there. So just play around, find that pain. You can place your right hand on your belly, make sure that breath is coming from the right place. I do these positions with the block on my back in bed, and I'll stay for half an hour at a time if it feels right. I love doing that. It's easy in bed. You can be completely comfortable everywhere. You're not stressing anything, and you're still getting that nice slow melt. So to stay there for a long period of time, but in this position will really, really help to get change in that rib cage where this tissue becomes really dense and hard without being forceful. Quinn's expression is one of bliss right now. I think he's enjoying this.
There's also no shortage of pain though.
We'll spend 1 more minute on this left side. I even like taking my left arm right up toward the ceiling and seeing if I can hook that block between the shoulder blade and the spine, and then you can get on that inside border of that shoulder blade. And let's release that left side and just slowly move back so you feel balanced. And when you're ready, you can put a little pressure into that left foot so that you can roll slightly over to that right side and then explore for about 3 minutes over there. And just notice how completely different both sides feel. We are anything but symmetrical. The goal is to move toward balance and symmetry. Not that we'll ever get there in perfection, but that's the journey we're on. Make sure you're strongly connected to that breath. And we'll spend 1 more minute here. In yoga, some of the instruction is to move the thoracic spine into the body. This is doing this with the block here. It's a beautiful way to move the heart and the lungs to the front of the chest, the front of the rib cage where they should be positioned. For most people, because of the collapse, they get squished and pushed to the back of the body. We'll take 3 more full breaths here. And when you're ready, you can just slowly roll over to that right side. And use your top hand to exhale up. How was that?
Oh man, that was painful today.
Was it? We're not quite done. We're going to go back to that first position, the clavicle position, and we're going to see how much more range we have to pull those arms up toward the ceiling now that we've really freed that back part up.
All right, so the block will be on its tall end here, horizontal to your mat, just below the collarbones. And then make sure that the knees aren't too far away from the block. And we'll start from here.
And just start first with the fingertips on the floor. For some of you, that may be as far as you go. But if you can, straighten the arms and let's lift those hands in alignment with the shoulders as high up as you can towards the ceiling. And the inclination will be to draw them more toward the feet. Let's see if we can keep them straight out to the side. Even get a sense that you're touching those shoulder blades together. We'll take 3 more full slow breaths here. This is helping to pull those shoulder blades back and down. Make this last breath count nice and slow and full and controlled all the way to that full exhalation. And then place your hands under your shoulders and exhale up. All right, let's just have you take your arms up and see how free and awesome you feel.
Oh yeah, that feels good.
Yeah?
And they're just sitting better too. Oh.
Wonderful.
Awesome, that was a very, very good class. And doing that position on the back, where we were targeting the inside of the shoulder blades, typically I want to get really deep, but when you just go a little bit slower and you don't apply as much force, I actually can get into more pain because that's how you're gonna get deeper rather than trying to rip into it, which I like to initially think I wanna do that, but then once I slow it down, it's a game changer. So very good class.
Wonderful. Well, thank you everybody. Tomorrow's day 3.